Do you think people take better care of rental cars or cars they own? Cars they own, right? Rental cars are, I probably would never buy a used rental car, right? Because it's been abused. Same thing with the apartments people rent versus ones they own. I don't know if you've got a common refrigerator at your workplace or whatever, but we do, and it's always yuck, gross, right? Even though nobody who uses that refrigerator's home refrigerator is that way, right? And so there's a whole body of economics looking at how property rights do good things, because when things are privately owned, they tend to be taken better care of than when they're not privately owned. And there's a whole body of economics, and an economist, Ronald Coase, who won a Nobel Prize in economics, for helping us understand that the real problem areas like air pollution, water pollution, all share one thing in common. There are cases where there's a lack of ownership rights. Who owns the ocean? Who owns the streams? Who owns the air? Right? So the reason there are problem areas is because of the lack of ownership. So for example, in England, streams can be privately owned where they can't here. So in England, people privately own streams. That's like Bob's stream. If you put something in Bob's stream, he can sue you in court. And so, of course, water quality in streams is higher there because people own streams and they keep people from polluting their streams. Here there's a stream, somebody pollutes it, who sues who? I don't know, maybe we hope the EPA or somebody comes in and tries something, right? But in England, that's your property. It'd be like if somebody done toxic waste in your front yard. You would do something about it, right? So there's a nice section in Chapter 2 on private ownership rights. Some of the interesting examples apply this to stuff like endangered species. You may have heard that elephants are going extinct because we kill them for human consumption, or to get their ivory. Really? Well, let's test that out as a scientist. That should mean that the animals that we kill the most for human consumption should be on the verge of extinction. What's the #1 animal we kill every year solely for human consumption, you think? Elephants?
Chicken.
Chickens? Then what would be next, probably? Cows? Next? Okay, cows, chicken, and pigs. How many of those are on the endangered species list? You're laughing, right? Clearly the theory is wrong. The theory, in fact, if anything, we've got a ton of cows, pigs, and chickens. Why? Because we eat them, right? So people make a profit by raising them and herding them, right? Those same people don't raise and herd things we don't eat, right? So, in fact, the irony is we went on this Angus beef craze. Guess what happened to cattle stock in America? This number of cattle, up. Even though we're eating more beef. Why? Well, because the profitability of being a beef farmer goes up. You keep a larger herd, you make more money. Why doesn't that happen with elephants? Why isn't it when the price of ivory goes up, we end up with more elephants like we do in the case of cows? Because guess who owns the elephants?
No one.
Nobody. Of course, that was solved. In 1979, there was the Campfire program that in a couple countries in Africa privatized the ownership of the elephants. Elephant populations during the first 10 years, that program doubled in the countries where they privatized them. They completely legalized the ivory trade, allowed private ownership of the elephants. It was so successful, they've now done it with the black rhino, the white rhino, and you've got great control groups. So if you look at the UN report, the countries that refused to do this and banned the poaching and made it all illegal, their elephant populations are declining. Anyway, so there's this really cool section on private property rights and how you can use them to help with the environment.